So I think that Paul is also saying here that to the Galatians, be careful if you see other people who are like kind of believing these crazy things about the circumcision and maybe not crazy, but some of the beliefs that people were spreading at that time were kind of crazy. So be careful if you're going to go talk to one of those people. Be careful. You might go into it trying to minister to them, but at the same time, they may share their beliefs with you, and then you may be tempted to believe what they think as well. You got to be careful when you're witnessing to people who have certain beliefs, because they can almost be trained to assassinate what you believe, and so they can poke holes in what you believe, and so that's why it's important to be prayed up and to really, if you're like kind of a new Christian or something like that, you probably don't want to go witness without somebody there with you, that can help you. So that's the first part, and then the second part of the passage, it's talking about reaping and sowing, or vice versa, sowing and reaping. So, of course, to sow something, it means literally or figuratively, in the sense, to scatter something, to scatter a seed, to scatter a belief, to scatter a way of thinking, to scatter sin. You can scatter anything, and then you're going to reap, or you're going to harvest, or you're going to gather whatever it is that that you're sowing. So obviously, what it says here is, if you're sowing of the flesh, then you're going to reap destruction of the flesh. If you're sowing to the Spirit, you're going to reap the benefits of the Spirit, which in here it specifically says, everlasting life. So I think that really ties into kind of what we're talking about tonight with responsibility, because whatever of these priorities that you put the most into, you're going to reap the most out of. And whichever ones you don't put the most into, you're going to reap that as well. As a lot of people know, you have certain priorities, and they should probably be up here, but over time they kind of move down because you focus on other things. That's like very common with everybody. If everybody in the world, listed what their top 10 priorities are, in reality, they're probably not actually in that specific order. You know what I mean? Because you may put a very high value on your family, but yet you may be, spending 80 hours a week at work. And yeah, granted, maybe it's something you have to do to make money to survive, but, at the same time, like, it's hard for a family to understand that, so, and I just want to go to another verse here that talks about priorities a little bit, which is Matthew 6:33. But seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you. And I think that's so crucial in our Christian walk, is just remembering that no matter what our priorities are, you have to make God first. You have to seek God first, and on the way to seeking God, then along the way, everything else kind of falls in line. That doesn't mean that everything's perfect. When I used to work at the regeneration program for teens with drug and alcohol problems, there's something I used to always say to the guys when they were getting to the very end of the program. When they were getting to the very end of the program, they had to do like this list of goals. So when they made the list of goals, they would have to list, long-term goals, short-term goals, what they want to be doing for work, what they want to be doing for school, what they want to be doing for their family or whatever. And, what I found a lot of times is you could almost see when you read those goals, like the direction that they wanted to go in, but at the same time, it's almost like they planned everything out, and then they fit God in afterwards. And that's why we did those goals, is because they were going to do that most of the time. Every once in a while, somebody would come in and they'd get it right, but what we always used to tell them is, you have to put God first, and then after you put God first, then everything else starts to fall in line. And like some real life application of that would be, okay, well, you've been in this program, you haven't had a job for 10 months, and now you're going to go out and get a job, but yet you're going to get a job at somewhere, a retail place or maybe fast food restaurant, but you're working at a place where they're going to require you to work on Sundays. And, of course, getting jobs isn't the easiest thing these days, especially for teenagers, but, it's almost like they would go get a job where they would have to work every Sunday or every Wednesday or whatever, but then they'd be like, oh, well, I can't go to church and all this stuff. No, that's not what you do. You fit church in first. You say, okay, I'm going to go to church every Sunday. I'm going to be involved. And then when you go to get a job, you say, I need this day off. I need these times off. And if, they can't, especially for someone who's in as fragile of a state as somebody who's getting out of a drug and alcohol program, they really need to be able to put God first and put ministry first, whatever they want to do and pursue in that respect. And then fit it all in, Another example would be if they want to go to school, want to go to college, then try to go into a Bible college or a Christian college, and that way, even if you do have to work, you're still putting your ministry, first. And we're all called to, do ministry in one form or another. So,